We're just starting.
Hello, happy Tuesday. Welcome to Lessons and Legacies, a very special episode 40. Not only is the number 40 special, which we'll get into here soon, but
Okay.
I am probably the most excited I've ever been to have today's guest. Today's guest is a very, very good special friend of mine I've known for a couple years now. Somebody I look up to, somebody who's been a mentor to me, somebody who's coached me, taught me, and helped get me to this place, making the show and making it look so pretty. So I'm going to hand it over to my wonderful friend, my very special guest, William Brown. Please introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are, and let them know why I love you so much.
Oh, wow. It's like I'm still trying to figure that out, right? No pressure, no pressure at all. I can't believe you have done 40 episodes before I've come on the show. So I feel like I'm
right?
just like derelict in my duties or something like that as a friend and everything. But I'm just amazed and honored to be on your show. So I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com, your self-awareness coach. And I think the one thing that I just really want to say and add is that I invite people to ask the question, who am I? And from that place, that then everything becomes available to you. And I think too often we get so busy in our life to just kind of try to just live up to the standards and expectations of other people, we miss ourselves. So the more that we can at least be willing to ask ourselves the question who we are, then we can show up for ourselves and other people. So that's it.
And you do that so well. I could fill up a whole notebook with all the things you do. You're talking about 40 episodes for me. You're like going on 400 sometime soon, right? You are always going.
I did 292 today.
Wow. 292. What's that add up to? Let's see. 9 and 4 is what? 13, which is 4. 4 came up for me today too. Write that down. 292 equals 4. 4s came up twice today. 9s came up twice today, and 2s came up 4 times today. I'm going to get into it.
Wow.
But you have so many things that you do. You've got the one-word conversations, which you do Monday through Saturday at 11 in the morning, right? Mm-hmm. You've got your Happy Today, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. You've got healing conversations. When do those happen? Those are kind of like
that is Thursday. Evening. Yeah, that's Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Right?
7. Mm-hmm. And then the you're doing what's the 3 o'clock one that you're doing for the Man and Woman of the Year campaign?
Man and Woman of the Year. That is a spotlight on you, and I spotlight someone who's been on a cancer journey, right? That either if they've been on it themselves or if they're a family members that they want to honor and kind of do that. So I do that around 3 o'clock, and it's when they're available. So those kind of pop in and pop out. I have a couple coming up soon.
And I've watched several of those. You have amazing guests with amazing stories. And I do have a handful of cancer survivors in my family and also people that I've lost to. So that's kind of that spotlight series really, it kind of hits home for me in a lot of ways. Yeah. And I want you to talk a little bit, tell everybody about the Man and Woman of Year campaign, because I'm excited to say I've joined your team. So we're going to be talking a lot about this over the next month.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've, I can't remember last year, I got this random email that, hey, you have been nominated for Man of the Year for Lymphoma and Leukemia Society, and I was like, "What?" It's like,
how do you get nominated?
Right. It's what I was told. Right. What I was told was my place in the community, and there's I was nominated by a couple of people. And that's all that they were saying. They didn't say who nominated me or anything like that.
It's a mystery.
And I was, like I said, at first when you're like man of the year, I'm honored, and I'm really kind of figuring out how, why me, and what's going on. And I was like, well, I don't have a real, in my mind, right? I didn't have a real connection to cancer. I don't know about your family, but this is how my family shows up. Is that
I know every time you start it like that, something
right?
funny is about to happen.
Something's funny about to happen. So I don't know if this is funny or not, but I usually don't find out what my family members are dealing with or the extent until after they're dead, right?
Yeah, no, I love that.
Right?
No, my family, I think it might be a generational thing. I think, well, I don't know though. I think, yeah, families, separate households, maybe
Right.
even within the big full family, separate
Right.
households, like to keep their skeletons in closets, maybe that
Right.
everything's shut off and don't let anybody know, you know?
Right. I hear, so I've heard so often that that, well, they didn't want to like worry people, or they didn't
Hurting
want to do
people,
anything.
yeah.
And then so there was a feeling, there was a couple people in my extended family that have passed away because of cancer. And it's like, I feel like I haven't had the journey of going through it with them, but I just
Right.
like hear about it. And so being a part of this campaign, this fundraising campaign and this awareness campaign, I'm really embracing that there's a number of my friends that have gone through and that are going through their own cancer journey. And so that's why I wanted to spotlight them, to really kind of say, hey, let's just share what you're going through and what you're learning through that. And so it's just been great that, I'm using my platform. Sometimes it feels like a network, how many shows
Right.
that I'm doing, right?
It is. You
Um,
should. You should just label it already.
right, right.
It's this
It's
network, and you can find all these shows in this one spot instead of, oh, you got so many things going. I don't know how
right.
you do it. I don't know how you keep your head straight.
And so one of the shows that I do, I'm still partially asleep. So, right, so
Yeah, that's your
so
morning pep talk
right,
to
the
yourself
morning,
before
right?
moving,
It's
right?
like it's like who wake up, and sometimes it's like, am I up yet? But that's fun. Um,
I love the
so
morning show. That's my pep talk too, though. Honestly,
yeah,
I will be. It's Bill gets me out of bed in the morning.
right. And today was a funny show because I let people know that I have like two alarms, right?
Yep.
One at 6 and one at 6:30, and they're like two different. They have two different sounds. One, because one is labeled "Get ready for the show," right?
Right.
Right? It's like that's the alarm. But I only heard one alarm today, and that was the second one. And
It was.
so
Who was
the
it?
one at 6, it was get ready for the show, but it was like, oh, that's only one, so I got a little bit more time to kind of just like kind of chill and get
Right.
ready. And then my wife, moved around and started getting thing, and I looked and I was like,
Uh-oh.
it's 7 o'clock, right?
Uh-oh.
So,
So
so
your wife was the second alarm.
right. My wife was the second alarm. So
Yes.
that was fun. So yeah, it is just really within the platform that I have and the opportunity that I have right now. I just really want to put a spotlight on, what people are dealing with,
Right.
and how, how cancer has affected their life and hasn't, right?
And not
Um,
just physically. There's a lot
right,
of internal affecting going on with that
right,
too. Mental, spiritual, emotional. That's a full deal, not just the physicality of it, you know?
right. Absolutely. So yeah, so I am honored. The fundraising part about it is going to be coming up soon. So I am honored to have you on my team,
I'm
and we
excited.
we have a goal to raise $30,000,
Woo!
and we're gonna go after it.
Impossible is nothing.
It's
Some people
nothing,
say nothing is impossible. I say impossible, that's nothing. You
right?
know, we can do it. We can hit it. We got to get some other people joined up on the team too. And
Absolutely,
kickoff date is February 18th, 9,
right,
9. Keep that
right,
9.
right. There's the 9 comes up
All
again.
right. So we are here. I'm super excited to have you. Like I said, I'm cheesing over here. Like I'm like super happy to have William Brown on my show
Wait a
because
minute.
you got me
Before
hyped.
before we get going, you forgot the one show that we do every Sunday
Oh yes,
that we
our
do
view.
together,
I'm
right?
excited. It's like blinking anymore to me.
Right. It's like it's so much a part of our life. It's not
It
even a
is.
thing, right? Right.
It
You
is
know.
every Sunday, 11 a.m. I love it. I love it. Our view on the Disconnect to Connect one word conversations. It's myself, Melissa Price, hosted by William Brown, and our other co host, Precious Pauling.
Yeah.
And yes, it is always the sunniest and often funniest bright spot
Funniest, right?
in
Right.
the day.
Like you get all the emotions, right?
All the
Tears,
feels. That's right. The cheek
laughter, and a lot of
rubbing,
drink. Right.
all
All
the
those
cheek
things. That's
rubbing.
great.
And the surprises, there's been bloopers too. I'm surprised I haven't fallen out of my chair yet. But I was so excited to have you here. And I feel like our topic today is super duper appropriate. We are doing lessons in language today. And before we dive into that, I do want to hit the numbers on you real quick. But
Okay.
I wanted to talk language with you because you are the word master. You do the one word conversations. You do all conversations. And then
Right.
you've got journals and books and cards. And you are just so in the zone and always super intentional with your words. And I'm a wordsmith too, but you took everything to a whole new level with the empire that you have built. And, it really is changing. It's changing lives. It's changing.
Mm.
You said you've had 292 episodes. That's 292-ish people that you have changed the way that they speak, the way they listen. Precious and I'll both tell you, like, I am so much more thoughtful about what I'm receiving when people are
Right.
speaking and how I am communicating.
Right.
And so, and then when you do that to somebody, it's got that ripple effect. They become
Right.
more aware of it. So what you're doing is making waves. I think we're past the ripples. It's making
Right. Wow.
so
Past
we're
the
going to talk
ripples.
about
I love
language
that.
today because you are the word guy.
Hmm.
Mhm.
It's
So
kind
we're
of
gonna do
interesting.
it
Yeah, it's kind of interesting with calling me the language guy, and I'm trying to embrace that. But most of the times, I make up words. I make up words live, right? On
Right.
the air, and it's like I respect words. I appreciate words. I'm intrigued by words, but they trip me up so often, right? Right,
Right. Right. They absolutely do. They do. And why is that? Because one of the things I had written down is that and we speak about it often, I know, on the Sundays when we do our view. And I know you say it with a lot of your other guests too, but language, words, these words they're not just coming with definitions. They're
Right,
coming with experience and emotions and stories and you know uh, it's not just the definition. It's
right,
a lot more than that.
right. And
And
we act as if it's only the definition that's coming with that word, right?
right. Well, which when we have these conversations on your show, the one word conversations, can you believe that we have talked for an hour over the word let? Let.
I know.
We
Yes.
has had people talk about the word no. No was one of my that was my favorite episode still to this day. It was episode number 2, the word no.
Right.
How far can
Wow.
you go on that? But there's
Right.
some amazing, amazing words that you've had. I learned my word of the year this year is anastrophic. I didn't even know that was a word. And when
Right.
you look it up in the dictionary, it's not the definition that was put out. There
Right.
was that came from another author and or show or something. I
Right.
forgot where Brian said he had read it, but um, comparing anastrophic and catastrophic and just
Right.
going with the prefix of it.
Right.
Anastrophic is the belief that everything is working for your good. The universe
Right.
is working for your good. All things work together for the good. I didn't even know that was a thing. And when you
Right.
look it up, it talks about the grain in wood,
Right.
you know? And I'm like, maybe I spelt it wrong. Try it with F instead of the PH. I'm like, maybe it's spelt really funky. I looked and looked and looked for days. I'm like, even my husband did. He's like, it doesn't mean what you think it means because that's not what the dictionary says. I'm like, but it does when you break down the prefix of the word and you do this and that. And so
Right.
these the words, our language, just it carries so much. It carries
Right.
so much weight, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
It says also in scripture, and I hear Dr. Deborah says this an awful lot too, is that the power of life and death is in the tongue.
Right. Wow. That was something that, with doing this show, I guess one of the many shows, but the one word conversation is I realized how I'll just say it, how careless I was with my language.
Me too.
In the sense that
I
I was
still
just
am,
I
but
would
I'm getting better.
just right, and you're getting better, right? I would just say things and just have people deal with it, right? I would say things that I didn't quite understand, but I just, did it. And I think the more that I'm willing to have that one word conversation, uh, there's a care to my language. I recognize that, you know what? You're probably not going to hear this exactly the way that I want,
Right.
what I intend, but I'm willing to be with you, to help you understand what my heart is and what my desire to say the words, that I'm saying right now.
Right. And, it brings up too, for me, when we're communicating these words, it's not just the stories and experience that goes with it. But when you think about language, I mean, the definition of language as a whole is the principal way that that's what it says in the dictionary. It says something about it's the principal set of communication skills for humans, blah, blah, blah. It was
Right.
very like clinical, I'm like,
Right.
that's a very structured way of
Right.
defining language. I'm like, it's so much more than that.
Right.
And then
There's
I
so
went on
much.
like a wild goose hunt and I was like, what's your own definition of language? What is your inner language? All this. And I was like, but when we're communicating and using words, it comes with which I danced around this. I'm sure you'll have something to say on it. It comes with tone,
Mhm.
inflection, and expression,
Right.
and that's something we're kind of missing right now with the mask situation, which we've talked
Right.
about before. But when we communicate language, it's not just the words.
Right.
I can say the same sentence to you in one tone or another tone, put my emphasis on different words and my facial expression. I can make that same sentence mean 1,800 different things, you
Right.
know?
The it's kind of interesting, and the reason why I have a hard time embracing that, people like the tone of my voice, right? How, it's like you're so calming and relaxing and all that other kind of stuff. But
You're like a pillow talk kind of.
there is, most of the challenges are the intense fellowship that I had with my wife over the 30 years is because of the tone of my voice when I said something. It's like, it's not what you said, it's just the tone, right?
The way
It's
you
just
said
like,
it. It's the
you're
way
right.
you said it,
And
right?
it's just like, it's like everybody loves my tone except you, right? Right.
Well,
I,
she's got 30 years of it. Maybe she's just like, kick it up a notch once in a while, man.
right. Yeah. So I just try, really, um, sometimes I intentionally try to take my emotions out of it. So I am just kind of saying what I'm saying.
Mm,
And 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 really when I'm doing that, I think I'm helping, but I could be um hurting or causing other things because if I don't put a tone in it, then people feel like I'm hiding something or,
yeah.
then there's no feeling to it or it's like, well, you just have no connection to that at all. And um, that's not the case. But it's like the one thing that I've learned within my language is the tone, the passion, the commitment. It's not just the perfect word, right?
Right.
It's all
Exactly.
those other things that are important that creates the language that people need.
Yeah. And the way that we say stuff, not only, does it communicate the way we're feeling as we're saying it, but it sparks feeling out of the person who's receiving it too.
Right.
I'm just
Mhm.
going to use this as an example because I had examples going in my head, but I was like, keep it clean, Mel, keep it clean. Yeah. So I
It's like,
had to
oh,
omit a swear word or two here for the purpose of language that we're
right.
discussing here. But take the phrase shut up.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I can say when my children are being very loud and I've told them nicely 20 times, shut up,
Right.
know,
Mhm.
that's communicating my frustration and
Mhm.
they're going to receive that, you know.
Right. Mm.
Now, if you told me some spectacular news, I'd be like, shut up.
Right.
Totally different. That's
Right.
communicating what?
Right.
Excitement, joy, and you're going to receive that and be like, yeah, I'm feeling it too, sister.
Right.
And then what about this? Shut up, shut
Right.
up.
Right.
That's,
Mm.
oh, I'm scared. And
Right.
that other person's going to feel scared too. So I
Right.
think that, I don't know, you take that one little phrase, those two little
Right.
words right there that can communicate. And that's such a weird word too. Shut up. Like what a weird phrase that is. It kind of
Right.
doesn't go right. Shut
Right.
up. Like it's just one
Right.
of those words. See, I like the words too.
It's right. It's like shut is enough, but up, right? You
Yes.
gotta just
You
do
got
it
to
a
shut.
little bit more, right?
I mean, shut down. Shut down. I get that. You're going to shut down. I get that.
Right.
Shut up. Like, where does this language come
What is that?
from? I had
You you
when your wife was on a few weeks ago or a couple weeks back with Precious, we were talking about all the silly little words and phrases that we use. Like the proof is in the pudding. It's
right.
get your pudding cup out and your spoon. Let's find that proof. Get it out. Get it out. Show somebody the proof. It's like I don't know. Our language is it's beautiful. It's exciting. It's funny. And it's difficult.
Right. There's two things that I embrace, and I think I've said this to you before. I don't know if I've ever said it on the show, but I know that every time I use this example, it just kind of gets away from me, and then it's hilarious. But I think you'll appreciate it. It's like getting our shit together, right?
Right. Yes.
It's like it means something, but it's like crazy, right? Because for me, I'm thinking that, okay, what do we do with shit? We don't get it together. Like why are we,
My
why are
mom had
we getting
one too. My mom had one too. She had brought up the other day. Her and I have been working on this book of colloquialisms for a hot minute now. And she brought
right,
up just a couple days ago, she's like, why do people say it tastes like shit?
right,
She's like, who
right,
has ever actually, oh, that reminds me exactly of that time when I went out to the pasture and
right,
you know what I'm saying? It's like, what do
right.
you know?
When I thought it was a candy bar and it wasn't, right? It's like, I don't know. All right, right. It's my wife. We were talking about something. I don't know if she said it or we heard it somewhere, but they were talking about shits and giggles, and I was like,
Yes,
that does.
yes.
It's like
Like
that sounds
Googling
messy,
is
right?
so much, you know?
Right. That's like
We have so
that's
many.
messy. That's
We
why
have
are
so
we
many of them. Yes.
right? So yeah, I try to stay away from that because like I said, it just gets it's just like no, we're not going to talk about that any much. But um, it's really what I have noticed for myself is that I have allowed language, I have allowed stuff like that, things that we say, because I don't know, I didn't continue this because I just I got tired of it. Basically, I would frame some of my posts that it was called shit we say, right, and it was just and it was just things that used to work for us, but now are for me, but now it doesn't, right? It's like getting our ducks in a row.
Yes.
All
Dotting our I's
it's
and crossing our T's.
right. It's like all of those things that we say that it just when they no longer have any power, and then it's just stuff that we say. And I've realized that throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's like, why would you say that? who did that, right? It's
Right.
like, yeah, why do you have to say don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, type of thing? And it's like, what are we learning from that? What is that language in
When I
that?
picked up, I had Brittany Thomas on an episode, and I had a handful of these that she had never heard before, and she gave me some too. But one of the ones, maybe you've heard it or not, is "Does a bear shit in the woods?" And she didn't get it. I was like, "You've never heard that?" I said, "Well, basically, I mean, the answer is yes." So
Right.
if somebody's asking you a question, or asking you a question that has
Right.
an obvious answer of yes,
Right.
like,
Right.
"Hey girl, are you my best friend?" And then they would look at you and say, "Does a bear shit in the woods?"
Yeah.
Obviously the answer is yes. But I'm like,
Right.
why would you, who came up with that? Why couldn't you just say
Say,
yes?
yes, right. You're
Yes.
right.
Now we have to go with, does a bear shit in the woods?
There
You know?
was something. I was talking to a dear friend of mine the other day, and I was explaining something that I was sitting with, because I'm always sitting with language and different things. Um, and I think I've shared it on the morning show. Time that it is. When we wait. So this is what I was sharing with her. It's like when we wait um, for our beliefs, we are eliminating miracles in our life, right?
Right.
And so I've been sitting with that. And so I was explaining that to her. And then I said, put simply, when you get in your head, you miss your heart. And she says, well, why didn't you just say that? Right. It's
Yep,
like,
I saw
um,
that. I actually watched that.
and it was really, um, when someone says, put simply, it's, after they just said something, well, it's like, why didn't you just simply say it?
Right. That
What
whole
is going on in your mind that you had to
like
make it
down.
very difficult?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, what part of you thinks I'm not going to understand what you're about to say? Put simply, like, let me dumb it down for you, sister. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right. And that's the type of thing. It's
It's a
like,
connotation. That's another part. Actually, I didn't even have that written down. We did have tone and stuff, but connotations of words. And I guess
right.
actually, I kind of did have it written down in a way. I wanted to ask you about, because I feel like you have mucho to say on this because you
Mm,
do your happy today every morning.
right. Right.
The difference between positive and negative speak. We
Mm,
bounce on this with a lot of the shows that you do on the one word conversation. Certain words have a certain connotation to them, which I guess you can kind of
right.
loop in there with tone. But I'm talking,
Right.
when we were talking about tone earlier, I'm talking about volume and
Right.
bass and that kind of stuff. But
Right.
connotation, a word has like a different feel to it, a different vibe. Like you said, put simply, to me, that's
Right.
like, am I not good enough for like normal? Why
Right.
simple?
Right.
It's got a
Right.
connotation to it.
Right. Did you
But
just call me stupid? Right. Right.
yeah,
Right. 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 It's
was
like,
that a sideways slap? What was that? So
right.
positive speak versus negative speak. You are very, very good about your affirmations on the Happy
Right.
Today.
Right.
And always at the end of your shows, you always do the affirmation. I love affirmations because they're positive speak and they're
Right.
forced. You intentionally put it out there, right?
Right.
And then there's negative speak, which we've learned so much on your one word conversations, how
Right.
much we throw words around in a negative way and they don't even mean what we're trying to make them mean, you know?
Right.
So what do you think about positive and negative speak and the benefits of honing in on that in your life?
Right. It's for me, I don't want to say I embrace not positive and negative, but if it's working or not working for me, right?
Right.
And there is sometimes that when I say I should do something or I must do something, it's like that's not working for me. That's
No,
negative.
it makes
That
you
gives
cringe.
me like
Yes. It makes
it's
me
like
think of paying bills. It makes me think
right,
of
right.
calling the mortgage company. It makes me think of going to that wedding I don't want to go to. Like,
Right.
you know,
It's all of those things because I lived a large percentage of my life when I wasn't aware in that must, have to, supposed to type of way. And that's just really, that's no way to live, but that's the way that many of us live. And it's so, so now that I embrace things that work for me, that words that have energy, and just kind of forward of me. And it's like, I get to, love, and different things that will get me to really kind of embrace all the actions that I have. Because I had a coach tell me once that our actions and inactions produce results.
That's right.
And it's like our inactions produce results that we don't want, that we'll have to deal with, right? Most of the times when I sweep things under the rug, I'm going to deal with that later,
Right.
because I'm going to trip over that rug, right?
Exactly.
Type of thing.
The dust pile's gonna build up too much eventually, right?
Right. And that is the case within language. Are we going to have conversations? Because when people say that, oh, we're going to have a hard conversation.
I
I
know.
tr- I
Why do you got to preamble it? Just say.
right. It's like
Just start the conversation.
yeah, for me it's either a conversation that I want to have or I don't want to have.
Right.
That's it. It's not a hard conversation. It is a conversation that I want to have or don't want to have. And there's sometimes that I'll just say, you know what? I really don't want to have a conversation, but I think this is very important that we do this. And I just say it.
Right.
I just say what needs to be said. And I think the more that we embrace that within our language, then it's not good or bad, right or wrong, positive or negative. It's just like, you know what? I'm present to this moment, and I believe this is what needs to happen. Look, sometimes in my mind, in my heart, I feel like this is what I need to say, and my wife will say, "Yeah, I don't. You need to go back. You
Right,
need
yeah.
to you need to ask somebody else."
Oh,
Right?
she says, "Oh, little Willie, you better hit the button. You better rewind and start over that one."
That's right. Yeah, I'm sure you didn't want to say that, right?
Right. I'm sure that's not what you really mean, do you?
Right.
You know, we've all
Right. Yeah, one of the most stressful, I've shared this on the show, I think a couple of times because it came to mind, but one of the most stressful and angry and disappointing conversations I've ever had in business was that I hired someone to take care of my social media or a number of different projects and probably some event stuff too. And I had, an idea of how I wanted it to go and everything like that. But I was like, you know what, you're a professional. I trust you to do what you do and all that other kind of stuff, and let her, you know,
do her thing.
go and do it. Right.
Yeah.
And about a month into it, she was like doing nothing that I wanted to see happen. And, it was just all kind of crazy stuff. And so I was like, okay, we need to have a meeting. And so I was like,
And
yeah, we
many
need to,
word conversation.
right. We need to have a conversation. And so I was pissed, right? Because I was spending a lot of money for her to do some things that I didn't need, all that other kind of stuff. And I says, yeah, I just want to get clear on, what we talked about before and what you're working on and everything like that. Because I don't think you kind of understand what I'm, what I need you to do. And I said what I wanted her to do, and she said, well, that's not what I heard. And I said right back really quick, I was like, well, did you hear do the opposite of what Bill says? Right? Because that's what you did, right? Oh my God,
I gotta
shit
use
hit the
that on
fan.
the kids. I gotta use that on the kids. I'm keeping that. I am keeping that. Oh, sorry. Did you just hear that? It's opposite day? What's going on?
Right?
Do the opposite of what mom says, right?
Right. And it got ugly really quick.
I can imagine. I know your wife, Delilah. She's got some fire. She got some fire. So, so does Precious. We all click real good together. I can imagine how fast that went from 0 to 100.
Right. So after that time, she was no longer working for me. So, yeah, it's that type of thing.
You were talking to Delilah. That was
Oh no. Oh no. I'm not that crazy. I wouldn't be married for 30 years for, but
I can imagine that the conversations you happen to have with Delilah can go from 0 to 100 when she does that. When she's that wife that goes, "You did not just mean to say that, did you?"
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we've got Precious and Charlonda joining us, giving each other shout outs. Thank you so much for tuning in to our language conversation. You guys make sure you hang in to the end there. I've got some really incredible news I can't wait to share. Stephanie Morris is in the house. What's going on, Queens? Everybody's giving love, and more love. All right.
That's great.
As we were just talking about messy conversations there, it came out of positive and negative speak. I had a couple things on my list here that, when we do these conversations, I like to go and look at the opposite side of things. So we're talking about language and the importance and positive speak and negative speak and all that stuff and the weird phrases that we've had, like things tasting like shit. Really, let's be real. Why do we say that stuff? How about this? Food for thought. When there's a lack of language, everybody's gone through the silent treatment, right? Everybody has been told to be quiet, or as we went through earlier, the different levels of shut up, and we've all experienced being at a loss for words. That's another really weird phrase too. I'm at a loss for words. I don't. Okay.
Yeah. I'm using words.
It means, but really, literally, it's funky. So what happens when there is an absence of language, absence of communication? What does that do to us as humans? I'm really trying to go and show how important language is to us.
Right. Absolutely. So how I define communication, I define communication as a brave sender and a prepared and willing receiver. And I think too often, within our communications, we're not brave enough to say what we want to say, right? So we're not communicating. And then the other times that people are not prepared or willing to hear what you got to say. On top of all of that, there's a difference between perfect communication and what I call perfecting communication. And so this is answering your question here. Most of the times, I think we look for perfect communication. We look for the perfect words, perfect setting, perfect opportunity, all those type of things. And when we don't have that, we don't say anything. And when we don't say anything, we are not in communication. And when we're not in communication, we're making up stories. So if you send me a text and I don't respond, and if I don't respond to your text, now you feel like I got problems with you, or I got all that other kind of stuff. It has nothing to do. It just means I miss your text. It could mean that.
It could.
Right. It could mean I do got a problem with you and I ain't returning your damn text. All that other kind of stuff. But most of the times, because we're looking for this perfect, it is, and sometimes that perfect is perfect for me and not for them. If you really want to have the conversation, you have to find that willing and prepared. And sometimes, the communication that I have with my wife is, honey, do you have a moment to, to have a conversation here? And it has to be, sometimes it feels like it's that formal, but when it's not that formal, I can say something for like a half an hour and she wasn't ready, right? She wasn't listening. It's like, what the hell are you talking about, right?
You've been speaking this whole
right.
My AirPods were in. Didn't hear you.
all those things. And so the more that we not look for the perfect, but perfecting. And so this is how I define perfecting communication is that I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And because of our relationship, I'm inviting you to kind of tweak it for me. So if I say something that you have a problem with, tell me, hey, I got a problem with what you just said. I didn't understand. Why'd you use that word? And it's like, oh, okay, this is why I'm saying. You're perfecting our language to each other. And then we strengthen that. That's within the one word conversation is that many times we'll hear one word and it's like, what? I don't like that word. So now I don't care what else you said. I'm not listening to anything you say now.
Right.
But most of the times, yeah,
Down.
you shut you down and we don't say anything. We don't say, hey, I just got shut down right now. You said something and I shut down. You know, what happens is, as soon as you shut up, I'm right.
And then you let it I got this great term off of a stand-up comedy show one time talking about that, where like women can just like say something and it won't piss you off right away, but he called it's like a phrase that will brain ninja you. It'll
Right.
sit there and lurk in the dark for the right moment, and then wha-pa, it'll get you. Like for example, he threw out there, when your wife will turn around and be like all quiet and whatever, you're just like your father, and then go walk away. And it's like,
Right.
she didn't yell it, she didn't scream it, and you're like, stupid comeback, and then the more it sits with you, you're like,
Right.
I'm not like my father. It will like blow up in your brain later.
Right. So I try not to be a word ninja. I really I really try to, and sometimes, look, I will admit, sometimes it causes stress in my wife's head because I want to be complete with the conversation.
Right.
I want to say what we're going to say, and at the end of it, it's said, right?
Right.
Because I don't want you to kind of think about it, get some input from your friends, see what they're saying on social media about it, and then come back to me, right? Like,
Go get research on and then come
right,
back.
right. I had my son one time, a young adult son, a couple years ago. I said something to him. We were just, I don't know. I was doing my parent label thing. I said something to him. And while we were talking, he was like on his phone. And he was like, oh, that's not true.
Time to me. I
It's
hate
like, and he was like, oh, that's not true. What I said. And I was like, wait a minute. Did you just fact check me in the middle of my conversation? And it's like, no. It's like, I'm dad. I don't care what it says on the internet. This is what it is, right?
Right.
And it's like, and sometimes we have communications that we're like fact checking each other instead of just kind of dealing with, before the internet, when we were growing up, someone, out in the streets said crazy stuff. And you're like, yeah, that don't sound right. But it's like, all right, and we just continue to play, right?
Exactly.
Right now, that ain't it. Because like, yeah, that don't sound right. I'm going to go to Professor Google and
Yes.
prove to you right now
The
that
YouTube Academy.
right, YouTube Academy, and just kind of realize that, yeah, you're full of shit right now, right?
Exactly. Well, speaking to the absence of communication, Precious says we grow apart with absence, and says that it does not make the heart grow fonder unless you were in agreement when the departure takes place. The agreement that you still like each other.
Right. Wow.
We've got Jeffrey Woolston joining again. Hey, I'm going to start calling you Uncle Jeff, if that's cool with you. Uncle Jeff from Tennessee. He's part of my husband's family. We've never actually got to meet face to face, but he is a pastor, preacher for 38 years now, I believe. But up in Tennessee, he loves sending me all kinds of wonderful affirmations and good news and songs for my day, and I'm very grateful for it. And he always pops in and shows his support. He said,
that's great.
George Carlin first listed in his 1972 7 words you can never say on television.
Yeah, I think we say all of those words now, right? There are some PG-13 movies that it's like, whoa, what? It's like,
oh my gosh, talk about.
like,
I'll tell you what. I go back and I'm like, oh, I remember that movie when I was a kid. And I'm like, oh, I can't believe they're like, it's PG or PG-13. And I'm like, I can't believe my parents let me watch this at this
I
age.
know.
Like, it was
Right.
way raunchier back then. Talking about
Right.
language. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they were letting it fly in the movies well below the ratings now.
Right. Right. And
Uh,
then it's like now we're sensitized and desensitized at the same time. Wow,
exactly.
isn't that interesting, right?
We need to resensitize. I said that on Sunday. We need to
Mhm.
resensitize. I can't remember what was that word. Type? No. What was the last
Yeah.
word? It was one of
The
those.
last word, inform. Inform was the last word
Maybe
on
it was in
Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Precious says, yes, perfect the language, and then we strengthen the communication. Goodwill.
Right. Right.
Hey, Kia, cousin Kia's in the house. What's up,
Right.
Queen? She says, that's true. It all takes one word. That's right. You got to choose your words wisely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And at the same time be willing to like clean it up afterwards. If because sometimes I can think that this is a wise word, but my relationship, my wife or my friends will say, yeah, that wasn't a good word. Right.
Right. Well,
Right.
it's an awareness, and this is
Right.
something that you bring about. This is woven through everything that you do, William Brown, is
Mm.
the awareness of what you're speaking. And I'll just do this real quick exercise here because I had written it and then I had it written and then we kept going and flowing.
Right.
I'm going to circle back here to the tone and the connotation of words. We'll just do the shoulda, coulda, woulda. You had already brought up should, and that's what made me kind of go there with it, was the should and the must. It kind of leaves you with that on you, that obligation, that obligatory burden, shoulda, coulda, woulda. How does each one of those words make you feel? I'll let you go first. Are you with me? Did you freeze? All right, well, I'll go first. Bill, if you can hear me, try to refresh. You're frozen on my end, but all right. So shoulda for me makes me feel, like I said, there's a to-do list that I don't necessarily want to be tackling. I should pay the bills. I should call the mortgage company. I should shave my legs. It's that it's got that whole feeling of you've got to do it, but it's something you don't really want to. The coulda, the shoulda, coulda, woulda. On the coulda, I feel like that's the highest vibe out of the three words. The coulda is like, well, I don't know. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. I thought the could was good for a minute there. See, now I'm busting rhymes up in here. The coulda. I could have. I don't know. See, there's a lack and a loss in that word for me too, and emptiness. I was just thinking could. I could if the word is could, then there's hope. I could do this. There's an option to do it. But if it's could have, I could have, as in past tense, then there's lack and loss there. And the same thing with woulda. Should have, could have, would have. It's amazing when you put the word have after it and it changes it all to past tense. And all three of them sound like, oh, I failed in somewhere, some area there. Yeah. But should still take the have away. Should still has an obligation tied to it. Could, I think, has hope tied to it and option. And then would has fear tied to it. Like I would do it, except I would do it, but you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting as we're speaking about language and whatnot, the different tones and connotations and ways that we use words. And again, just placing one word before or after another, man, can make a difference. So, well, I'm bummed Bill bombed out there. I'm sure he'll try to come back in because he's awesome sauce like that. So I'm going to catch up these comments and then I'm going to drop one more little nugget on you guys about language and then do some cards before we go. and fill you in on my extremely exciting, awesome news. I can't believe I made it this far without exploding. There he is. You're back.
Oh boy. Yeah, I am. You know, I typically do not use. I don't know if you can hear me and everything. I
I can be
typically I typically do not use Chrome browser on my on on my computer, and I did for some reason, wasn't paying attention, and so it just doesn't like StreamYard for me. So
That's right.
so
It happens. I didn't know if it was me. Honestly, I was like, oh my gosh, I hope my signal's not going out, but it's all right.
yeah.
I kept talking. You know, I like to talk. So,
I know. I was like, if anybody, because I say that to my guests, I was like, hey, the good news and bad news about StreamYard is that it's a browser base. So if
mm,
anything happens to my computer and I go away, it's now your show. So
right, exactly. You are now the host.
you are
Exactly.
now the host. It's like
So,
so great.
let's catch you up here. Let's catch up with the comments, and I'm gonna drop a nugget on you, and then I'm gonna get into some fun stuff with the numbers of the day and the good
Right.
news, and
And
we'll
then
wrap
great
up,
news. Right.
share what we've got coming up. Precious, when we were talking about the movies and TV and the movie ratings and stuff, she says, "Oh my God, I realized why my aunts were mad at some things we watched without adult supervision."
Right.
But like, I don't know. My parents, dude, my parents. This is something, and I'll be real, transparent with you, for real, for real. My husband told me last night, "I think you probably need to watch your language a little more around the kids." I've been up to here lately. I'm just telling you, so you don't watch your language. It's
Right.
another one of those colloquialisms. Like, I can't see the words coming out of my mouth. I can hear them. You should
Right.
like, listen to your language better and
Right.
shut it up, or shut it down,
Shut
rather.
it. Right. Right.
But
Right.
yeah, I got sidetracked on that. The well, he was saying, oh, watching the language and whatnot, and I don't know. I went back to the movie situation. Our parents, like my parents, used to curse up, down, and sideways all the
Right.
time when I was growing up. But I also used to get my butt whooped and everything else. Times to
Right.
change. But I'm like, so when I get up, I don't swear in front of the kids unless like I've said 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 10, 7 times. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And I'm like, we're gonna beep, you know,
Right.
and then they pay attention.
Right.
So it's like you should, yeah. I'm like, but I grew up like that. I have to intentionally,
Right.
when I'm very upset, choose words like fudge
Right.
and and sayings like shut the front door. You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
But
I'm just
yeah.
not that creative. I was doing a parody of what was it? I forget the Samuel L. Jackson was in it with John Travolta. I can't
Oh,
remember.
yeah, yeah.
We were doing a parody of that, and it was like at the time, and I still don't swear a lot, but I was like, well, just tell me the line, and they were telling me the line. It's like you can say fork instead of the word, and well, and everything like that. And I'm getting into the character, and I'm like just swearing because I am like committed to it, and they're like, whoa. Yeah, I thought we weren't going to use swear words here, and it's like, I don't know. I was just in the character and all that other kind of stuff. I don't. It's just I can't like my mind doesn't work that way that I have to put replacement words in it. Whatever I am so connected to, um, what I'm trying to say, what I'm feeling in that moment, and that's what comes out.
It
And
does that
so,
for me sometimes too, but I have to be a censoring mom at this
right,
point sometimes, you know?
yeah,
Uh,
I totally get it. There's no censor in my house, and sometimes I'll say to my wife, that's an interesting choice of words, right?
oh,
I'm
yeah.
just like,
And that's a nice way of putting it too. That's a nice way of putting that. Words when you really wanted to say, what the, you know?
right. It's
It's
like
again, being aware of our
it's
language.
right.
That's,
Is
that's a more that's an appropriate way of saying that instead of what we would normally want to say, like the what the beep.
right, right,
That
right,
was interesting.
right.
You choose your words wisely. Kia says, man, words are powerful. And Precious says, just the other day, I was like, The Color Purple is no movie for an 8-year-old without conversation of an adult watching
Wow.
you.
Yeah. Yeah, that is. I saw that. I think I saw that in college or something, and I was like, "Whoa!" I need an adult, right? I mean, it's like it was
Exactly.
much, right? It was much. I
And
couldn't imagine seeing that as a kid.
when you were on the blackout moment there, we were talking about the difference of, well, the words shoulda, coulda, woulda,
Right.
and and then if you took the off, like the should have, could have, would have, if you take the have off, how each base word makes you feel.
Mm,
Um, Precious said, should is big. That's a big one. Like that should
hmm.
kind of makes you feel like this obligatory sense. Could
Right.
means there's an option to do.
Right.
And then would, I feel like there's fear tied to that. Like I would do it, except something's
Right.
holding me back.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, she says it all means could have, would have, should have. I have a different perspective now, so now I see it different.
Hmm. That's
She
great.
said, as far as the swearing goes, I grew up in a sailor's house for sure. That's what my mom always says. You curse like a sailor, curse like a trucker. I don't know why
Right.
truckers and
Right.
sailors apparently have really bad mouths.
It's
But it wasn't until I got older that I adopted the language, but it definitely helps me when I do. I've learned to trust that the right language will be present. That's true.
right. It's kind of interesting as a kid, and I can honestly kind of remember when people would say, like a sailor or like a pirate, or the a trucker, and
Right.
it's like my understanding is like a trucker is like not around a lot of people. They spend more time by themselves, so it's like,
And
why
so
are
they're
they
just
swearing
sitting
so
there
much?
cursing in the truck by themselves. Like they do. Truckers have Tourette syndrome, and they're just sitting there like,
Right, they're just like swearing all the time or something. It's
no,
like I didn't
yeah,
understand. It's
where's
like,
that
but
come
when the
from?
right, when the truckers get together at the diner, they're just like swearing up a storm or something. I don't, I just like
It's
it's like
their
over a
hobby.
pie. Right? So
It's the truckers' hobby. They gather around the campfire and just they have contests of who can say the nastiest words. You know.
that's great. That's funny.
And Precious says, "I cuss for me, not you, or perhaps it is for you, and it saves you." I listen,
Right.
there's a lot of benefits to cursing. I actually did some research on this. There's some wonderful, I think I sent you one. There's some wonderful
Right.
meditations that are like breathe in, F it,
Right. Right.
breathe out, and let that shit go. It's
Right.
wonderful. I swear to God, when you're in a rage moment, you take 2 minutes. It doesn't even take but one,
Right.
honestly. 1 minute, breathe in, F it, let that shit go. It's swearing. Swearing does help release endorphins and stress. It does. It's good.
Right.
Uh,
That's great.
and Precious says she was young then, and
Oh boy.
they were passing drivers out all day, laughing my ass off. All right, so here's this last little nugget around language I want to drop on you here,
Okay.
um, and I think you will agree with it. Language leads to manifestation because when
Yes.
you speak it, it is so, right? We
Mm,
cannot, everything starts with a thought. And I think with your affirmations that you work
mm,
so closely with and that you deliver us every day, um, in the affirmation world, especially. But I think when it comes to your dreams and goals and intentions and stuff, when you speak something, it can't really come out unless you do. So I feel like
right.
language, our words, when we speak, it leads to manifestation.
Right. And I think that's why, going back to the positive and negative language that we have, it is that, and so, like I said, I use it as if it's working for me or not working for me, right? So if I am speaking language that is working for me or is for my benefit, it's my anastrophic language, right?
Right.
Then I'm manifesting that in my life.
Mm.
If I'm using language that, I won't do this, I can't do this, all this other kind of stuff, you're manifesting that in your
Right.
life.
Attracting.
And
Yes.
right, you're attracting that. And so really getting aware what you're saying. It's, I've mentioned on my show, and I think I've talked to you before, that I've been embracing, abundant, right, and abundance in my life. And I realized that there was a lot of things that I was saying to myself that I'm attracting abundance, but my language was like rejecting abundance, was
Right.
saying that, oh, I'm good, right? I don't need this, or I don't. And so what I
You're a
was doing by
blessing
using
blocker.
that language,
That's right.
right?
You're a blessing blocker.
I was manifesting lack in my life, while I'm saying that to myself, that I wanted abundance. And so, yeah, just get aware of what the language that you're using, and seeing what you're manifesting. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So as we're wrapping this up with our language conversation, I guess that's something I think we'll both encourage you guys to, and ourselves to be really, really mindful of the words that you're choosing, with and the inflection and tone and intention behind what you're putting out into the universe. Because when you speak, things manifest. You
Right.
attract things to you, and you put things out there. The power of life and death is in the tongue. So speak life,
Hmm.
speak love, speak affirmations. Don't be the negative Nancy or the Debbie Doubter that we were just visiting not too many days ago. You know what I'm saying? Don't
Right.
put that out
Hmm.
into the universe. Speak positive, speak power, speak life.
Hmm.
Um, and I actually would like to pull an affirmation card for you today out of my deck. And
Okay.
before we do,
Wonderful.
we got to roll on these numbers real quick. So
Okay.
today was episode 40. So
Hmm.
root number is 4. Yes, I see you. I see you, Steph. She's like, Stephanie says, yes, I was just going to say, speak life. It's important to watch what you say. Amen. Amen. So today was episode 40. Root number is
Hmm.
4. 4 is a number of structure and stability. Also,
Hmm.
4 sides to make a square. I always remember the meaning of 4 because I think of a square. So
Got it.
now today's date actually, I'll go back and rewind to you because you started this morning before me. You just did episode 292. We
Two. Right.
have
Hmm.
292. And in numerology, when you boil all that down, it's a 4. So we have 4s, 2s, and 9s. They're all up in here. It's insane. Uh, so the number 2 means balance. It's duality, black and white, hot, cold, life, death, man, woman, good, bad, all of that. The balance. You can't have
Right.
one without the other. So we've got balance, we've got stability and structure with 4. And then, okay, today's date. Oh, wait. 9. What was your 9, 11, and 7 from this morning?
Yeah, that was from,
Your
the
cards,
morning.
that you drew this
Yeah,
morning. You
my cards.
have
Right. Yeah.
9,
Yeah.
11,
The content.
and
You're right.
7 on your Happy Today show, which equals
Right.
28. Or no, 20. Was that right? No, 21. And then your
And it
number
was
boiled down to 9, right? You said that on your
right.
show this
Right.
morning. 9 was
Right.
the
Right.
numerology boiled down of your cards. So there's your another 9. Today's
Right.
date is the second month of the year, second day of the month, and 2021. So look at all those 2s up in there. And
Right.
2-2-2021 boils down to 9 also. So the number
Wow.
9 is a really cool number. I looked up something to read to you guys about 9. 9 is a number of faith and purpose and fruition. But I did find a couple really cool fun facts about the 9 that I didn't know. Every time I look, I find new stuff, you know? So it says 9 is the number of magic. 9 is a sacred number. 9 is a number of completion and fulfillment. It is a symbol of wisdom and good leadership. 9 is the number of heaven. And here, this is really cool. 9, every time you multiply 9, it breaks down to itself. I didn't know this, and you know how I do the numbers. So like 9 or 2 times 9 is 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. 3 times 9 is 27. 2 plus 7 is 9. 4 times 9 is 36. Wow. 2 plus 6 is 9. It goes on and on and on. So that's like a really cool special fact. 9 being about, and that was, it tickles me because it is a number of fulfillment, fruition. And some of the stuff I read too, they say if you surround yourself by lots of 9s, it will attract that to you as well. But I like that it always repeats itself. It reminds me of the cycle of abundance. You know what I mean? Like the flow of abundance I feel with 9, which I guess with fruition would work. But I feel like because 9 is always repeating, it reminds me of a cycle, a circle, and like that whole universal law of abundance. So today's base numbers were 2, which is balance and duality, 4, which is structure and stability, and 9, which is repeated fruition, purpose, abundance, I feel. And what a blessed set of numbers for today. And it started, you brought it. I wouldn't have even thought to like look into it today, honestly, unless you started it on your show this morning and were like, 9, what's 9 mean? And then I was like, everything's 9s today. It's a 9 kind of day. So
it's a George Sink commercial, right?
Exactly. Okay. Hold on, wait. And I'm going to do these special cards here. Okay, Stephanie says, oh my gosh, 292 episodes. Go, Bill. Go, Bill. You are amazing. Amazing is, it needs to be a made up word. I heard one on Saturday Night Live one time that was beautiful, a beautiful made up word, scrumtrelescent. Like you need a fancy word. Better than amazing. Almost 300 episodes. It's awesome.
That's funny.
Scrumtrelescent journey has been scrumtrelescent. It feels good to say that word because I know it's not real, you know? Stephanie also says 9 is the number of faith and purpose and fruition. Love that. Yes, it is. It is. I love it. 9 is a number. Now 2 is my favorite number. It's my lucky number and my favorite number, but 9 always comes up for me. Probably the most frequent out of all numbers. 9 comes up often to me. I don't know why, but it does. Yes, 2 equals balance and duality, and it's a 9 kind of day. Yes, it is. It is indeed. So we are going to do some affirmators here. You pulled cards for us this morning. I'm going to pull you a card now.
Yes.
So these are affirmation cards. They say that they're to help you help yourself without all of the self-helpiness. How's that for language?
Got it.
All right. We'll do this card pull here. If anybody wants a card, just pop it up there. And then we will wrap up. I had to leave with some fun and inspiration. All right. I'm going to do one for me and one for you. Do you want to tell me where to stop, William Brown, or do you want me to pick for you?
You can pick for me.
I sense that slight hesitation there. All right. This is you. This is me. All right. Ooh. First card. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. All right. It says, congratulations. You're being given one of the most powerful superpowers there is, forgiveness. Imagine that you've been bitten by a radioactive forgiver. The point is, you suddenly have the ability to forgive people for their flaws, their bad days, their unkind moments, and their mistakes. And the best thing about forgiveness is that you can apply it to yourself too. Have fun wielding your new power, but remember, with great forgiveness comes great inner peace.
Wow.
Marinate on
Like
that one.
I received that.
Yeah, I love these cards. They
Marinate on that. I've been
marinate.
bit.
Sabrina would say, Sabrina Huff, marinate. All right. The next card, personal growth. And you can see there's the
I pulled one of those today too.
The first bicycle ever made. Whoever decided to put the giant wheel with the tiny wheel. Just saying. And it looks to be a frog with extremely long legs. Very long-legged frog. Unusually, its back legs are much longer than the front ones. Okay. And it says personal growth. This sounds so much like you. As I move toward greater consciousness, I feel old thoughts and habits fall away. Like training wheels on a bike, they helped me get to where I am. But now that I can ride, I don't need those slow and crummy wheels, except when I'm making bike analogies.
That's great.
Thank you all day.
I can run an analogy. Right. That's
when you're
great.
like, I don't need those crummy old wheels except when I'm making bike analogies. All right. Well, I've kept you 1:11:47 over the hour. I've kept you quite a bit. So I thank you so much as always. This is such a blessed afternoon. I am grateful beyond measure that you agreed to take this on and do the show on language with me. And we even did get the naughty language in. So
right, we did, right? We did.
Before we go, why don't you wrap it up and leave everybody with
the announcement, the good news?
Oh yeah, see, I told you in the beginning. Remind me, I'll forget.
Okay.
I'll forget.
Oh, okay. I thought I missed it when I was in a blackout. I thought I lost the opportunity to hear the great news.
Well,
so, okay, the great news.
All right, the great news. So, one of my I Hire Me challenges for January, I succeeded in like an hour ago today on February 2nd. So I didn't make it in January, but I made it on, choose my lucky number. I made it on 2/2021. So today I got accepted and my podcast is now part of iHeartRadio as well. And that was my goal. I wanted to do the iHeartRadio thing. So yay! I'm super excited.
Wow, congratulations.
Yep. The Spotify was a little easy to get on and whatnot, but I wanted to do the iHeartRadio. There's options for advertising and there's paid opportunities and things like that in there. And so it was a step up, a level up for me. And it was like, I did this as soon as I started Spotify 4 weeks ago. I did this and I never heard back. I resubmitted twice. And I never heard back. And I'm like, it's not meant to be. And literally 10 minutes before we got online today to do this, I was like, there's like, you have been added to iHeartRadio. I'm like, yes! I was so excited.
Yay! Great. That's wonderful. Congratulations.
I made it to the end. I almost missed the opportunity to share it. So thank you so much for reminding me like I asked. Oh my goodness. Wow, the girls are chiming in.
Great.
Proud of you. Congratulations, iHeartRadio. Thank you. I'm so very excited. Star student. I have amazing coaches. William Brown and Precious Pauling, my big sister and big brother. Wouldn't be here without either of you guys. So I give all the flowers and credit to my brother and sister here.
Oh,
so yeah, there it is.
I appreciate it. No, it's just...
So as we're wrapping up,
there it is.
You go ahead and leave everybody with your final words. I'm going to put your information up so people can find you, and I'll put your link in the comments below after the feed as well.
Oh, wonderful. You know, I am, I guess, beyond honored to be connected to you. And I think many times we have a question about our connections and our disconnections. And the more that we fact or understand that the more that we show up as ourselves, we become aware of how connected we are to each other. Mm-hmm. You know, and that is the invitation. And I am so glad that the more that I learn who I am, the more that I can see how Melissa and Precious and a lot of other people, we're connected, and we are doing what we are called to do and showing up in our life. And it starts with that awareness. We can get distracted so easily about all of this, all the things that are in front of us. But we were here, as Jeremiah 1:5 says, you know, I knew you before the foundations of the world and before you were in your mother's womb. The fact that we were known before all of this means that all of this means everything. And so the more that we become aware of that, we can show up, and that we can say that I know who I am, I know whose I am, and I'll show up for that. As I say, because the world wants you, the world needs you, but the world is not waiting for you. So go be you.
Yes, go be you. Absolutely. And while you are going and being yourself, remember that there is always a blessing in every single lesson. You know, our stories, our language, our communication, it matters. If we don't communicate with each other, how is this world going to grow? You know, I say it frequently. I use the analogy of the hot stove. When you go and you put your hand on that stove and it is hot and you get burned, you damn well gonna go tell somebody, don't put your stuff there. Don't put stuff and it's hot. Don't touch, it's hot. Or do we silently sneak away and wait for somebody to get burned? We don't do that, you know? So tell your stories, tell your opinions, tell your definitions, your feelings. Like, we show up, both William and I show up every day to show you guys how much we're connected, how much our words matter, how much our stories matter. So find the blessings in all your lessons. I will see you guys tomorrow. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, please contact me at lessonsandlegacies@gmail.com, or feel free to message me at Lessons and Legacies on Facebook or Melissa Price on Facebook. And if you guys want to check any of the other episodes out and become a wonderful fan and follower, because sharing is caring, please look up Lessons and Legacies on Spotify, YouTube, and now iHeartRadio. I love you. Thank you so much, William Brown. Again, I appreciate you. You guys check out Happy Today on Facebook with William Brown at 7 a.m. One Word Conversations with William Brown on Facebook and YouTube, 11 a.m. Monday through Friday, and 11 a.m. on Sunday for Our View with myself and William Brown and Precious Pauling. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you for your feedback, and be blessed. We love you. See you tomorrow.